Hi everyone, my name is Ann and thank you so much for being here. Is God taking your Christian experience to another level and no one seems to understand, not even your Christian friends or neighbors? Well, someone else had the same experience and we're going to talk all about him, so don't go anywhere. We're going to talk about a man named Job. Now, Job was a righteous man, a man that loved God. And one day there was a meeting in heaven. And the Bible said that the sons of God came together for this meeting. And you would not believe who came to this meeting as well, as if he was a son of God. Satan actually went to that meeting. And so when Satan went uninvited, just like how he comes in our lives uninvited, he went to the meeting of God, to God's meeting uninvited as well. And when he went there, God said to him, "What are you doing here?" And he said, "Well, I was walking around on the earth and I decided to come." And God said, "Well, have you ever considered my servant Job? That there's none like him and that he loves me?" And Satan said, "Well, you might think that Job loves you, but he doesn't. The reason he loves you is because you protect him, you make him wealthy." And God said, "Well, here's what we'll do. Go do your best. Let's see if you're right or not." Because God knows all things, right? But there's one thing you can't do. You can't touch his life. And can you imagine how happy Satan was? So he came to earth, and the first thing he did was to kill Job's children. And the same day, his servants died, except one, all his cattle. And Job lost his entire family besides his wife and his entire wealth in one day. Oh, Job mourned and he mourned and he said, "Oh, naked I come in this world and naked I will return." And when Satan saw that Job was still trusting God and that he was still loving God just this way he loved God before, he decided to do something else. He said, "Well, I'm going to do something else." And so Satan inflicted sores on Job. So he had sores from his head to his feet, all over his body. And Job, oh, he was afflicted. He would get up every day and he would scrape his sores. And his wife said, "Curse God and die." And Job said, "You speak like a foolish woman. I would not curse God and die." You know, I love Job so much because he was so strong in the Lord. And so words got around that Job is sick, Job is afflicted. And Job's closest friends came. He had three friends and they came to visit him. Just like how we have our church brothers and sisters, they come when they hear that we are down and out. And they came to visit Job. And they could not believe. For a couple of days when they came, they were quiet. Just could not, they could not speak. Because of what? Because of the condition of Job. And when they opened their mouth, they said, "Job, oh Job, you know, it's a possibility that maybe your children did commit a sin. And you know, Job, if God is a good God, and if you were a righteous man, if you were righteous, then this would not happen to you. And Job, if you go before God and pray to him, he will help you." And Job sat there and he listened and he listened. And then, you know, at the end, Job concluded that maybe Job started looking at God's character and he said, "Well, maybe God is not such a fear God. Maybe I don't know him the way that I thought I did. And that strong Job that we saw earlier, and even though Job did not sin, Job became broken inside. You know, some of us might be going through a similar experience. You might have been in a car accident, or you might have a medical diagnosis, and you have friends come over, good Christian friends that they come to visit you to cheer you up. But they're saying, well, if you just have enough faith in God, He will come through for you. If you are praying enough, then He will help you. But I'm here to tell you that God is right there with you. And He doesn't help us because of the measure of our faith. No, He helps us because of the measure of His love. And Paul had a similar experience. He had a medical issue that was that he wanted to get rid of, and he went to God. And you know what God said to him? God said to him, He said, and He said unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. And then Paul said, most gladly, therefore, I would rather glory in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me. So can you believe it? That in our weakness, in our infirmities, the strength of God will be able to be manifested in a glorious way, even when we're at our weakest. You know the funny thing about it? When Satan went to that meeting uninvited, God didn't think of Job's friends. No, He thought of Job. Is it possible that God is using our affliction, or trials, or circumstances for His glory? Is it possible that He's using that to perfect our Christian experience? You know, I was sick recently, and just to put it out there, I was sick unto death. And I remember so clearly how God took care of me. You know, I would go to my bed so early, maybe sometimes at 6 o'clock. And because my body could just not stay up anymore. So I would go to bed so early. And every evening when I go to bed, God would visit me. And when He comes, I would feel His presence, and I would feel the life returning in my body. And we would talk and talk and talk until I fall asleep. And the next morning I would go to my mother and I would say, let's pray together because God visited me last night. And if He didn't come, I would not be alive today. And I'm not sure if she believed me or not, but she would still pray with me regardless. And I remember one night I went to bed, and as usual, I was expecting the same visit, and I wasn't feeling God. He wasn't coming, and I said, God, you're taking a long time tonight. And after a while, I concluded that maybe you're not going to visit tonight. Maybe I'm not going to make it through the night. And for the first time, my mother opened the room door, and she came in and she said, are you okay? And I said, I'm okay. And then she came in the room because she figured that I wasn't okay. I usually, even when I'm not okay, I usually say I'm okay because that's just who I am. And she came inside and she was looking at me in a really strange way. And I remember telling her that I'm cold. I'm very, very cold. And my dad came in the room, and he laid his hands on me that night. And after he prayed, I'm not sure what happened, but I got up off that bed and I was just talking and, just like nothing happened. Just like, you know, I just could not believe it. But to this day, I I don't have any memory of getting up off that bed. No memory at all. I just remember that after a while I found myself off the bed. That's it. And I was thinking about it. I was thinking about it because I was saying, God, why didn't you come and visit that night like you usually do? Why did you wait? Why did you wait so long? And he said, because I wanted your mother to be a witness to it. Oh, he's such a loving God. He's such a caring God. He took care of me just like a mother takes care of a child. And now I know if one day I don't have a mother, a father, a sister, a brother, God will always be there for me. And you know what? Even though I'm not sick anymore, thank God, I still go to my bed a little earlier because I know that He's going to meet with me. And sometimes when I'm brushing my teeth and I'm thinking about something, or I'm asking God a question in my mind, when I open my Bible for my nightly devotion, there that question will be answered. He meets with me every night, every single night. And I'm so happy for that experience because now I know I have a God. Now I know that I have a Father in heaven that will be with me no matter what. You might not be going through a medical problem, but it could be another problem that no one seems to understand. My sister, one night her house was broken into and she was sleeping and she felt someone shaking her feet. And she woke up and she realized that like no one is there. And then she went back to sleep. Like most of us would, go back to sleep. And then there was another shaking again. And she got up this time and she realized that her house was about to be broken into and she made an escape. That saved her life. And the sad thing about it? That some of her Christian friends said, if you were strong in the Lord, then that wouldn't have happened to you. But now, my sister, her testimony is so strong. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, because the hand that shook me that night will always wake me up. That is her testimony. It is so important for us to have a testimony. It is so important for us not to only read what not only to read the testimony of Peter and Paul and David, but to have our own experience in the Lord. In Revelation says something which is very, very important. It says, in the last days, the people that will stand and overcome the devil and overcome sin and overcome this world, there was one of the reasons for that. It is the word of their testimony. Do I have a testimony? Do you have a testimony? I don't want to live just to copy the testimony of Peter and Paul and David. It is not good enough. I want to have my own testimony. And it is not too late for you to have your own testimony. So no matter what you're going through right now, all things work together for good to them that love God. And so God is a Father in heaven. He doesn't require us wrestling with Him all night and crying He's a father. I don't wrestle with my dad for the things that I need. I go and ask. And if it is in my best interest, he gives me accordingly, not because if I believe or not, because he loves me. It's the same thing with God. He loves us more than our mother could, more than we can ever imagine. And so, because all things work together for good to them that love God, let us rejoice in our tribulation. Let us let us rejoice in our trial. Let us wait to see the hand of God. Let us wait to see how God will work it out in our best interest and in the interest to bless others, to bring others to Him, to glorify His name. Because we serve a mighty God, we have a loving Father. So until next time, take care.